All right, so we're diving into Arsenal versus Manchester United, FA Cup third round.
Big one.
It is a big one. And you know these two clubs, they're giants of English football, but there's always something a little bit extra, I think, when these two come up against each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost 250 meetings between these two clubs. And,
wow.
And this is the first time they've ever met in the third round of the FA Cup.
That is wild.
It shows you how long-standing this rivalry is, how significant it is.
Yeah, and this is one you do not want to miss. It's Sunday, January 12th. 3:00 p.m. GMT at the Emirates, so home advantage for Arsenal. But
well, yeah, home advantage for Arsenal. No VAR, though, for this round.
There's a bit of spice.
It does add a whole layer of unpredictability, I think. And when you consider Manchester United's history in the FA Cup, I mean, they are the holders. They've got a history of pulling off upsets in this competition.
Yeah.
Last year's final. They beat Man City.
Yeah, that's right. And Arsenal. They are coming off that 2-0 win against Manchester United at the Emirates just in December. So, you'd think they're looking strong coming into this one.
Yeah, you'd say they are the favorites.
Yeah.
But their recent form hasn't been flawless, has it?
Mm.
I mean, they're winless in their last two, including that Carabao Cup semi-final loss to Newcastle.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. And for Manchester United, they've been, they're the reigning champions, but this season has been a bit all over the place, wouldn't you say?
Very inconsistent, but
yeah.
But that draw against Liverpool, really spirited performance.
Yeah.
2-2 at Anfield suggests that they might be finding some form again. What was really interesting in that game was Bruno Fernandes' performance.
Mm-hmm.
He created more chances than any other Manchester United player at Anfield in Premier League history.
Wow, that's an incredible stat. And speaking of stats, Manchester United haven't won at the Emirates in any competition since 2019.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, Manchester United might have the historical edge in overall wins, but recent form definitely seems to favor Arsenal.
All right, so let's get tactical here. So Arsenal are obviously known for that creative midfield, but set pieces. I mean, they've been absolutely dominant this season. It's like almost 1 in 4 of their Premier League goals have come from corners.
That's unbelievable.
So, that's something Manchester United have to be very wary of.
Absolutely. Testament to their set play design and then the execution. But what's intriguing is that while they've been so dominant on set pieces, their open play scoring has actually taken a bit of a dip this season.
Interesting. So they're kind of masters of the set piece, but struggling a bit in open play.
Right.
And on top of that, they've got a few key players out. Saka, White, Nwaneri, Tomiyasu. How do you think Arteta adjusts his lineup and tactics for this one?
I mean, losing Saka is a huge blow. He's such a dynamic force, particularly in those wide areas, that Arsenal love to overload under Arteta. It'll be really interesting to see how they try and replicate that attacking without him in the side.
All right, so let's flip the script and look at Manchester United. They can be lethal on the counterattack, especially if given space to operate.
Exactly.
Wow.
And with players like Rashford, potentially returning from illness, they've got the pace to really punish any defensive lapses from Arsenal. And, Fernandes is given the freedom to orchestrate the attack. It could be a long afternoon for the Arsenal defense.
He's a special player, isn't he? And we talked about his brilliance against Liverpool, but he's going to need the right support to really make an impact against this Arsenal side, I think.
Absolutely. It's crucial that they get him on the ball in dangerous areas, provide him with options in the final third. If they can do that, they'll cause Arsenal problems.
Yeah.
But, they've got injuries to contend with as well. Out. Lindelof.
Yeah.
Shaw. All out.
Yeah. So both sides dealing with injuries, both sides trying to find their best form, should make for a fascinating tactical battle, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Really intriguing.
For the part everyone's been waiting for, the history.
Yes, the historical rivalry.
I mean, it's almost their 250th meeting.
It is.
Which is just incredible.
Crazy.
And while Manchester United might have that slight edge in terms of overall wins, Arsenal have actually dominated recent encounters. But it's those legendary moments that really make this rivalry special, right?
Absolutely. These two clubs, they have a history that stands over a century.
Yeah.
And it's just filled with these iconic moments, legendary players.
Yeah.
And of course, a fair share of controversy.
Oh, yeah. We've got to talk about that 1979 FA Cup final. It's, a game that's etched in the memory of every Arsenal fan, I think. That last-minute winner from Sunderland, it really cemented Arsenal's FA Cup pedigree. But, it also shows how this competition can throw up the unexpected. And then who could forget Pizzagate? a slice of pizza, Sir Alex Ferguson, and a young Cesc Fabregas.
What a story.
And kind of a funny story now. But back then, it just showed how intense this rivalry was.
Yeah. It was about more than just winning,
Yeah.
It was about pride, bragging rights, establishing dominance over your fiercest rival.
It was tribal, wasn't it?
It was.
Almost.
Yeah, and even though it might not be as heated as it once was, that history still casts a long shadow.
Oh, it does. And this fixture is always a big deal. And this Sunday will be no different. But before we get into predictions, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Given Arsenal's dominance from set pieces, could we see another goal from a corner decide this match? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, would it?
It's certainly a possibility. Manchester United's defense has shown some vulnerability this season, and as we said, Arsenal have been absolutely ruthless from those set-piece situations.
Yeah, so you've got Arsenal's set-piece dominance on one side, you've got Manchester United's potential counter-attacking threat on the other. Sounds like this tactical battle is going to be as exciting as the match itself.
It really will be. It's going to be a fascinating clash of styles. I mean, Arteta has built a very specific system at Arsenal. They love to control possession, build patiently, and then strike with those quick passing combinations. But as we mentioned, their open play scoring hasn't been quite as sharp as in previous seasons.
So do you think Arteta will try to force that open play style against Manchester United? Or do you think he'll adjust his tactics, maybe play a bit more conservatively, and focus on exploiting those set pieces?
Yeah, it's a real dilemma for him, isn't it? I mean, Manchester United under Amorim, they're much more adaptable than they used to be. They can press high and disrupt you, or they can sit back, absorb pressure, and hit you on the break. So it'll be interesting to see which approach they take.
It's funny. I was thinking about this earlier. A lot of people are comparing this match to a chess match between two brilliant managers. You've got Arteta, the architect of Arsenal's resurgence, going up against Amorim, who's known for his tactical flexibility. It's going to be fascinating to see who outmaneuvers who.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the managers, is it? The players themselves have huge role to play. And there's some key individual battles that could really swing the momentum of this match. I mean, think about the midfield battle, for instance. Martin Ødegaard, the conductor of Arsenal's orchestra, going up against Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United's talisman. He's got that incredible vision, the ability to see passes that others just don't see. And Fernandes, well, we've already talked about his brilliance. He's their go-to guy in the final third. That clash in midfield is going to be epic. Yeah, Clash of the Titans. And then you've got the battle of the strikers. Gabriel Jesus, who's been on fire lately for Arsenal, up against Rasmus Højlund, Manchester United's, young and hungry new signing. Both of them capable of scoring goals out of nothing.
Yeah. And don't forget the defenders. I'm really interested to see how William Saliba, Arsenal's rock at the back, handles the pace and power of Manchester United's attack, especially if Rashford is fit.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Saliba has been a revelation for Arsenal since he came back from his loan spell. But he'll have his work cut out for him against a player like Rashford. I mean, this match is packed with fascinating individual battles, and any one of them could be the deciding factor.
Okay, so we've talked tactics, we talked about key players, but let's dig a little deeper into some of the specific tactical nuances that could decide this match. We know that Arsenal under Arteta, they love to overload those wide areas, especially on the left flank. But with Saka out injured, do you think they'll be able to create those same kind of overloads? How do you think they adjust?
That's a really good question. Gabriel Martinelli usually plays on the left, and he's a very direct attacking player. But he doesn't offer the same kind of creative threat that Saka does. So Arteta might have to think outside the box a bit here. Perhaps he'll try to overload the right side instead, or maybe he'll rely more on central combinations between Ødegaard, Havertz, and Jesus to break down Manchester United's defense.
Okay, and how do you think Manchester United will respond to that? They've been pretty solid defensively under Amorim, haven't they? Do you think they'll try and press Arsenal high up the pitch?
Yeah.
And disrupt their build-up play, or will they sit back and invite them to attack?
Well, Amorim's known for his tactical flexibility, so they could try either approach.
Yeah.
They might even switch things up throughout the match, depending on how it's going. Casemiro in midfield will be absolutely key for them. He's got so much experience. Tactical intelligence, if he can control the tempo of the game, break up Arsenal's passing rhythms, it'll make a huge difference.
Right, and if they can win the ball back in midfield, that's when those dangerous counterattacks can really hurt Arsenal. I mean, imagine Rashford with his pace, running at a backline that's missing both White and Tomiyasu.
Yeah.
Could be a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. But even though they're missing a couple of key defenders, Arsenal's backline is still pretty solid. Saliba and Gabriel have formed a really strong partnership at center back. They'll need to be at their very best. To deal with the threat of those Manchester United counterattacks, it's going to be a real test of their concentration and their communication.
It's amazing how much depth there is to this tactical battle. There's like so many different layers to consider, but ultimately it's all about finding the right balance, isn't it, for Arsenal? It's about finding that balance between attacking with enough intent to score goals, but also being disciplined enough defensively to avoid being caught out on the break.
Yeah, and for Manchester United, it's about finding the balance between disrupting Arsenal's rhythm and giving their own creative players like Fernandes the freedom to express themselves. Real tactical tightrope for both managers to walk in.
And let's not forget the psychological aspect of this match. Arsenal are at home. They're the favorites, according to most pundits. And they have that recent win over Manchester United to draw confidence from. But Manchester United are a team that often seems to thrive when they're underestimated. They love that underdog role.
It's true. They have a history of pulling off big results in the FA Cup, especially when they're not expected to. And with a manager like Amorim, who's so good at motivating his players, getting them to believe in themselves, you can never count them out.
Absolutely. I mean, this match is not just about tactics and formations. It's about mentality. It's about which team wants it more, which team is willing to dig deeper, fight harder for every loose ball. It's about who can handle the pressure of the occasion and stay focused when the game is on the line. It's those intangible qualities that can often make the difference. In a cup tie like this,
you're absolutely right. It's those moments of individual brilliance, those flashes of inspiration, those acts of sheer willpower that can turn a game on its head. And in a rivalry as intense and as historically significant as this one, you just know that both teams will be giving it absolutely everything they've got.
Oh, I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. It's going to be tense, nerve-wracking, and ultimately thrilling, I think.
I completely agree. This match has all the ingredients for a classic FA Cup tie. And who knows, maybe we'll be talking about it for years to come as one of those legendary encounters that define this rivalry.
Okay, before we wrap up part one, I want to touch on something we haven't discussed yet, the historical context of this rivalry. We've mentioned a couple of moments. But these two clubs have a history. That goes back over a century. There are so many stories, so many iconic players, so many controversial incidents.
It's true. This rivalry is steeped in history.
Right.
And that historical context, that adds another layer of depth and intrigue to this match.
All right. Well, we'll delve into all of that fascinating history in part 2 of our deep dive. So stay tuned. Welcome back.
All right. So we've talked tactics. We dug into the current form. Now it's time to really travel back in time and explore the historical moments that make this rivalry so special. Yeah, it's
a rivalry that's captivated generations of fans and produced some of the most memorable matches in English football history.
Okay, so we touched on that 1979 FA Cup final earlier with that last-minute winner from Sunderland. But there's so much more to uncover. I mean, the late 90s and early 2000s, that's when this rivalry was arguably at its peak. Right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a clash of the titans, wasn't it? You had Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson at the helm. And their teams were a reflection of their personalities, Arsenal under Wenger, they played this beautiful, flowing attacking style. While Manchester United under Ferguson, they were known for their grit, their determination, that never-say-die attitude. It felt like every match between them was a battle for the soul of English football. Do you remember Keown's reaction to Van Nistelrooy's penalty miss?
Oh, yeah.
Or Vieira and Keane going head-to-head in the tunnel?
Unbelievable scenes.
Those are the days.
Those matches were electric.
Yeah.
It was more than just football. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle for supremacy. And it wasn't just the managers either. You had world-class players on both sides. Henry, Bergkamp, Vieira for Arsenal, Keane, Giggs. Scholes for Manchester United. It was a golden era for both clubs.
And it's funny how a single incident can sometimes capture the essence of a rivalry. For me, it's Pizzagate.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? A pizza. Sir Alex Ferguson. A young Cesc Fabregas.
It's amazing.
It perfectly encapsulates the intensity, the passion, the win-at-all-costs mentality. That defined that era.
Yeah, it's become a part of football folklore, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a reminder that these matches were about more than just 3 points. It was about pride. Bragging rights, proving your dominance over your biggest rival.
And even though the rivalry might not be as fierce as it once was, those historical moments still add a special layer of significance to this fixture, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The history, the legacy, the stories, They all contribute to the atmosphere, the anticipation, the excitement that surrounds this match. It's a reminder that when these two teams meet, anything can happen.
So as we look ahead to this Sunday's FA Cup clash, it's important to remember, the legacy of this rivalry, the history that has shaped it, and the moments that have made it one of the most compelling in world football.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about a new chapter in this epic saga come Monday morning.
Well, I think we've covered it all. The form, the tactics, the history, the key players, even some predictions. You're now officially armed with all the insider knowledge you need to impress your friends and fellow fans.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the Arsenal versus Manchester United FA Cup clash. It's a match that has it all: history, drama, world-class talent, potential for moments of magic.
As you settle in to watch the game, remember the insights we've shared. And most importantly, enjoy the spectacle of two of English football's giants going head-to-head.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Goodbye. All right, so welcome back. We've talked about tactics, We've dug into the current form. But now it's time to really travel back in time and explore the historical moments that make this rivalry so special.
I mean, this is a rivalry that has captivated generations of fans and produced some of the most memorable matches in English football history.
Yeah, we touched on that 1979 FA Cup final earlier with that last-minute winner from Sunderland.
Right.
But there's so much more to uncover here. The late 90s and early 2000s, that's when this rivalry was arguably at its peak, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this was a real clash of the Titans, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson at the helm, and their teams were almost a reflection of their personalities. Arsenal under Wenger, they played this beautiful, flowing, attacking style of football, while Manchester United under Ferguson, they were known for their grit, their determination, never say die attitude.
Yeah, it felt like every match between them was like a battle for the soul of English football. I don't know if you remember, but Keown's reaction to Van Nistelrooy's penalty miss, or Vieira and Keane going head-to-head in the tunnel.
Unbelievable scenes. Proper old school.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Those matches were electric.
Yeah.
It was more than just football. It was almost like a clash of ideologies, a battle for supremacy.
Okay.
And it wasn't just the managers either. You had world-class players on both sides.
Yeah.
And I had Henry, Bergkamp, Vieira for Arsenal, Keane, Giggs, Scholes for Manchester United. It was a golden era for both clubs. It really was. And, it's funny how a single incident can sometimes capture the essence of a rivalry. And for me, it's Pizzagate.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a pizza. Sir Alex Ferguson. A young Cesc Fabregas.
I mean,
it perfectly encapsulates the intensity, the passion, the win-at-all-cost mentality that defined that era.
Yeah. I mean, it's become a part of footballing folklore, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a reminder that, these matches, they were about more than just 3 points. It was about pride. It was about bragging rights, proving your dominance over your biggest rival.
Yeah. And even though the rivalry might not be as fierce as it once was, those historical moments, I think they still add a special layer of significance to this fixture, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. The history, the legacy, the stories, they all contribute to the atmosphere, the anticipation, the excitement that surrounds this match. It's just a reminder that when these two teams meet, anything can happen.
So as we look ahead to this Sunday's FA Cup clash, it's important to remember that, the legacy of this rivalry, the history that has shaped it, and the moments that have made it one of the most compelling in world football.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about a new chapter in this epic saga come Monday morning.
Well, I think we've covered it all. The form, the tactics, the history, the key players, even some predictions. So you are now officially armed with all the insider knowledge you need to impress your friends and fellow fans this weekend.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Arsenal versus Manchester United FA Cup clash. It's a match that has it all history, drama, world-class talent, and the potential for real moments of magic.
So as you settle in to watch the game, remember the insights we've shared, and most importantly, enjoy the spectacle of two of English football's giants going head-to-head.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
See ya.